So video number 2, 4 videos from AJH at Synthfest this time, so I'll link them all in the description. Let's get into it. The fixed filter bank this time.
Fixed filter bank, it's 12 bandpass filters. It's the fixed filter bank 914, and for fixed filter bank fans out there, they'll probably recognise those numbers. It's based on the inductor bandpass filters rather than usual Salon key active Bessel style bandpass units. Now, one of the differences with using an inductor-based filter is that the frequency shift, the phase shift with frequency is less on an inductor bank, which is one of the reasons that it's that they sound a little bit different. So I've used active inductors rather than the passive inductors that we used in the original design in the 1960s. Few reasons for that. The main one is his space, and we're quite limited with the Eurorack format, so we've gone for that rather than wound inductors, so that we can make it a skiff friendly unit. Otherwise, the thing, you could still physically fit it in there, but we'd probably have a 3 or 4 stack board that would make it very deep, and also very susceptible to noise pickup as well, with them being wound elements. So we have 12 bands, so it's half octave spacing. They're actually, I think the spacing's actually augmented fourth, isn't it? So you have the note augmented fourth and then octave. That runs through from 125 hertz through to 560 hertz, 5.6 kilohertz. We also have a shelving low pass and high pass filter on there as well. Now, there are a few enhancements that I've put onto this, and one of them is to split it into 2 channels, which we've called left and right. So the way that works is that the low pass filter is routed to the left channel. The 125 hertz is routed to the right. Then the 175 is routed to the left. The 250 is routed to the right, and so on.
It's almost like odd and even channels. Every other one forms the left and the right.
That's right. That's exactly what we've done. So on here we have independent left and right outs, and we have an all out as well, which will give you a mix of all 12 bandpass and the high and low. But the interesting part of it is the mix out, because there are two crossfaders built into it, and the first crossfader is the output mix. So what we can do with that, we can crossfade from between the left and right outputs. So we can crossfade effectively between 6 of the bandpass filters against 6 that have different fixed frequencies. You
could have those really quite drastically different in terms of whether they're pulling out mids or upper mids or low frequencies.
Yeah, we'll get it fired up in a minute and take you through that. So we have the output mix on that allows us to crossfade, and we can also do that with an external CV as well. So we can put an external CV in there, and that has its own level control as well. So you can actually control level and offset because we have 2 pots that both cover that.
Ah, great.
So if we want to use it with an LFO, for example, where we have a bipolar CV.
You can tailor all that CV right on board without needing anything else.
Yeah, you can just dial it in without needing external modules. So that's the first crossfader. Now the second crossfader on it, we can crossfade from wet to dry. Now, you'd say, well, why not just put a bandpass switch on it? Well, the reason we don't do that is because obviously when you set different levels on the individual filters, the output, the wet output is going to be at a very different level to the input.
Yeah, of course, if you're carving several dB off of several parts of it.
Yeah, or more,
or adding them.
Adding them, so yeah, because it's the way that it's an additive filter. If we turn everything off, we don't get any sound from it. Unlike a graphic equalizer, we don't actually get anything out if we turn them all off. So the second crossfader we have crossfades between wet and dry. But we have a second input as well. Now that isn't an input to the fixed filter bank itself. That's an external input that goes to the crossfader. So the idea is that we can crossfade between the input signal, the input dry signal, and the wet output, or we can crossfade between an external input and the wet output, and we can control the external level with that.
Okay. So again, you can just, however drastically you've shifted the level, you can marry them up. You can match it all on the module.
You can pull them together. Yeah.
You're not needing to pull in all the, and utilities are great, obviously, but you're not needing to pull utilities in to scale your ins and your outs or your CV.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, on here, as you can see, it's 30 HP module, and we're that's largely because of the number of control knobs on it. So to drop a few more MIDI pots and jacks in there, there's no cost really in terms of rack space. So it seemed a fairly logical thing to do. Yeah. Now the other feature it has what we call a feedback control. It's resonance, but if you call it resonance, then people expect it to behave like a resonance pot on a regular filter, which it does, but we have fixed filter frequency. So it's we've called it feedback because when you start introducing it, it's feeding the output back through into the input now, which is what a resonance control does as well, of course. When you start feeding that in, then what will happen is whichever band you've got highest here, it's going to attenuate most.
Yeah. The one that's boosted the most will be seemingly higher boost, and the others will push.
But it can be quite interesting when you have, assuming you don't have one of them just turn full up and all the others off. If you've got something interesting on there, then you can add feedback, and it'll just give this kind of resonance, almost a 3D resonance to the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess it almost kind of shifts. If each finger is a band, it kind of shifts them around a bit.
Yeah. And the other thing I've done is I haven't limited the range on it. So if you want howling feedback, you can get
those
it.
Purveyors of noise.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it'll self-oscillate as well. So if you take the input out, set these high enough, put the feedback in, and
so can you kind of gently ping it on the edge of oscillation?
You can, but it takes a bit of setting up to do it.
Yeah, well, any feedback circuit is a little bit of fine tuning.
Yeah, because it's hair trigger stuff with them being quite high Q bandpass filters. But yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Great.
Anyway, we'll get some sound. I'll just feed some white noise into it, which isn't the most interesting of things, but at least gives you an idea of how it sounds and what you can do with it. So if we listen to that, first of all, we've just got that's just white noise going in, and that's the dry signal only. And then as we wind in, the banks to there. You can hear that's. We're just panning there between the left and right channels.
That's going to be great for then getting that into, say, a low pass gate or a VCA and making sort of snare tones and.
Yeah, I mean, for anything percussion based, it's going to be very, very useful. So if we have a look at if we wind everything, let's just wind everything off, and you see. You see that, as expected, we get no output, and then we can start feeding in. We feed in a. There's the low pass shelving. And that's 125 hertz, and then we start.
Tons of potential shaping in terms of the range of control.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of possibilities. Now the other thing is that the feedback comes from the mix output. So if you actually take the output from the all out, and then start feeding in the feedback and use the mix CV, you can kind of switch the feedback from one through to the other.
Okay.
Because it's taking it from either the left or the right channel and feeding it through.
It's going to be an absolute drone machine between the feedback, being able to move between these two, and crossfade to the dry or the wet.
Yeah. Again, I wait with bated breath for your review of it, Ben, because I'm sure that
I'm noting down ideas in my head as I'm going. Can we hear it on just a saw wave as well, just a low pitch saw?
I'll just quickly put the feedback in. You'll hear it. There's the feedback.
Starts to sing a little bit.
Yeah, it's just starting to come alive. And if you wind a particular channel up, you can hear that you get this kind of reverb effect coming in before it goes into full on feedback. You just get this.
It's like reversing reverb trails as you turn the knob up.
Yeah. Right. So let's put sawtooth.
Can we go an octave lower? Ooh, there we go.
Yep, that is sawtooth. So
yeah, it's that like really formanty vocal tone that I just wanted to hear. If you learn some ninja-like knob twiddling moves, you could probably make it talk to some degree.
Don't look at me.
Or me. Really nice. What we should ask, I didn't ask this on the glide video, sample and hold and slew. Roughly when are you aiming to have these ready?
6 to 8 weeks, as usual, and that's 6 to 8 modular weeks.
You're all right with
yes, 6 years. And price-wise, this, I mean, it's a hugely complex module. There's almost 600 parts in it, and an awful lot of R&D's gone into it. And so we're thinking about it's probably going to go out at 465 GBP. So that's that one with the quickly the sample and hold. That's going to be 210.
Okay.
Same price as our ladder filter.
Yeah, great. So update to the phaser and the glide and noise as well. We'll do that in a separate video. Great.
Thank you.